Okay, this music is The Eye of the Tiger, and I have a couple of students who are working on this piece, and it's very, very tricky rhythmically, and I think sometimes the students try to play it from the way they remember hearing it, but they really need to count. So the section that this video is going to be about is from here probably to about here, just these 1, 2, 3, 4 measures for right now. So the first thing I want the student to do is write in the counts. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And because that G is tied, I typically for myself, I circle things when it's a tie so that I know not to hit that note again. Okay, then the next measure, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 3 is a tie, like so. And then this measure, 1 and, the 2/8 notes, 2 and quarter note, 3 and 2/8 notes, 4 and. So of these 4 measures, these 2 are the easiest to count. And then the last measure in this exercise, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and the 4 and is the rest. Okay, so now this is probably the part that the students don't care to do, but it's really, really important. And I just sent a student home this past week with a pad of these Post-it notes. So what that student is supposed to do is put a Post-it note there and one there. I could make them put them top and bottom, but that's not necessary. So what they're doing is they're focusing on this measure right here. And then what I want them to do is to set their metronome on the iPad, or if they have a metronome on their keyboard that they practice on, that would work fine as well. So let me pull this up. Okay, and for this practice session, we're going to have them set their metronome at 85. Oopsie. There we go. Quarter note is equaling 85 in 4/4 time. I also have this set so that beat 1 is a different sound on the metronome from 2, 3, and 4, so they can always tell when they're on that first beat. Okay, so then the next thing that they do is they start the metronome, and I would really like them, as the metronome clicks, to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So they hold on this because of the fact that it's tied. And also right now the metronome is set for the quarter note, but because they're working with 8th notes, if the metronome that they use allows them to set it to click the 8th notes, that's even more helpful. So here's what it sounds like when it's clicking the 8th notes. And if I do the same thing and have it play the quarter notes, it sounds like this. So I think you can sort of see why having it click the 8th notes, because you're playing 8th notes, makes the most sense. So I'm going to set that back to click the 8th notes. Okay. So just working with that one measure, which is why the 2 Post-it notes are in blocking off everything else, to follow the metronome and tap it, and even count it out loud is helpful. Ready, begin. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and do that as many times as it takes to get that in your head. Then the next thing that they would do, which I don't have my keyboard set up in front of me right now, is they would set the metronome again and actually play that. So it would be E, G, B, G, E, G, B, G, E, and that E is where I'm holding it where it's tied. Now, as soon as they have that measure perfect against the metronome for 10 times without a mistake, Then they move the Post-it note to the end of the next measure, hiding the measure that they just finished working on. Okay, now they're going to, work on this measure. So they have 1 and 2 and 3 and. 3 is silent because it's tied, the F is tied. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And they do it against the metronome. Ready and go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. When they can do that 10 times without a mistake, then they move this Post-it note back. And now the idea is that they work those 2 measures. Ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 10 times those 2 measures without a mistake. Just tapping, pointing with a pencil or whatever, tapping the rhythm, and then of course doing the same thing but actually playing the notes. Now, they cannot, absolutely cannot, go on to this measure until these 2 are perfect 10 times in a row. And if they are playing these, and let's say they're on the seventh time through, and they screw up one measure or the other, they have to go start over again for 10 times. I know it sounds daunting, but the idea came from a concert pianist that lives in Australia, and he has a website. He puts out a lot of material for teachers to help students, and this whole idea of the 10 times without a mistake actually comes from him. And the students who do what I ask really do get the results very, very quickly. But a lot of students go, oh, well, she said 10 times, but I did it 5 times, that's good enough. Nope, 10 times. Okay, so then you would move your Post-it notes again to show just that measure. When that measure is good, then you would play, oops, the 3 measures, this one, and this one. And you just keep moving your Post-it notes until you can play from here to the bottom of the first page. So that's how I would like you to practice this week. Hope this little tutorial has helped, and we will see you at your next lesson.